Hello, what's up, and welcome back again for another Deck Tech with BloomBurrow. And today we're going to now reference some builds submitted as a user submitted deck list for the website MDG Goldfish. And for today's feature, I got some somewhat an updated build of an archetype that was introduced back in the Murders at Karlov Manor set with the root, or let's say the key card, now pun intended, Insidious Roots. So this version has now been updated with some new initiations, and since the rotation is basically happening, we now see that what the new cards BloomBurrow would offer to this kind of deck build. And so you have this list, let's call this one as Camellia Roots by username alfchaval, which was submitted at the MGD Goldfish site. So we're going to do a rundown of the build, in which the namesake Camellia comes from here. The card, the squirrel legendary creature, Camellia the Sin Miser, with its ability to have a pump effects, or whenever you sacrifice a food, you get to generate these squirrel tokens, and again, doing forages would get you to pump, putting +1% counters on each other's squirrels you control. So let's check out the list that he made. So we have 24 creatures, 8 enchantments, 4 instants, and 24 lands. So let's see the grid view of this deck. So out of those 24 creatures, we have basically ways to generate some surveil effects or self-mill in the form of these 2 1-drops in the deck. So we have 4 copies of Rubble Bellbreak. It goes that you can surveil 2, and then you can pay green, exile it from your graveyard to put up some counter on that creature. And your 4 copies of Snarling Gorehound. So this creature dog has also this ability that triggers that whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you can surveil 1. So in a way, you can basically, having these triggers of self-mill would get you to benefit that of the ability of Insidious Roots. So Insidious Roots here that whenever 1 or more creature cards leave from your graveyard, you'll create a 0/1 plant creature token, and then put a +1 counter on each plant you control. And these tokens you control, or creature tokens you control, have the ability to produce 1 mana of any color. So this enchantment would go and say that having this on the battlefield would get you to benefit creatures leaving your graveyard. For in fact, the main, probably the good example here would be the Rubble Maverick's ability to exile itself from the graveyard. So what other means that you can have to do those triggers? We have copies of Stein. So Stein enters the battlefield to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and then having your creature spells cost 1 mana less to cast. So that is 1 colorless mana. In a way, you can do some instances of returning creature cards and do it over again by self-mill, or other that you can also trigger Insidious Roots, having these effects to create these 0/1 plant creature tokens. So what the new cards would have offered here in this deck. So 4 copies of Thornbolt Forager. So this is a 2/2 for 2 Squirrel Ranger that can add mana or add green, but if you're able to forage, which means that you can sacrifice a food token or exile cards in your graveyard, you can basically add 2 mana of any combination of colors. In the same way, you can pay 4 to tap, search the library for a squirrel card, reveal it, and put it in your hand and shuffle. So basically, your good target here would be Camellia, since this is a creature type of squirrel, and that you can house already the shenanigans of creating this army of your 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. So in a way, we have basically chances of having to draw Camellia by just regular card draws, or do mana search or tutor effect via Thornbolt Forager. So in a way, with this setup, later on you can just have this number of food tokens creating numerous green squirrel tokens, and one of those sources of creating this food is your 4 copies of Bristlebud Farmer. So this farmer is a 4 cost 5/5, enters the battlefield. You can create 2 food tokens, then whenever you attack or Beelzebub farmer attacks, you may sacrifice the food and then mill 3 cards, and you may put a permanent card from among them into your hand. So these self-mill effects will also get you to benefit by returning a permanent card from among the milled cards, or basically a land or a creature or an enchantment, to put it back into your hand. And the good thing is that this sacrifice a food trigger would also have Camellia's effect trigger to get you to generate a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Now we look at the other enchantment that is added here aside from Insidious Roots are your copies of Scavenger's Talent. So this is a 4 mana enchantment class. So the class subtype is back again in this set. So its first ability is that whenever one or more creatures you control die, you will create a food token and only trigger once each turn. So in a way, it doesn't check if your creatures or it's a token or non-token creature. It's at any time that you would have a creature dies you control, you will create a food token. So this is also important in a way to get you to generate food tokens, which you can later on sacrifice to the farmer. And then when you will be able to put this in level 2, you have this ability that whenever you sacrifice permanent, target player mills 2 cards. So basically this would still be a self-target of milling yourself, and also have these effects to get you some forage value, or in any time you would create this somewhat chain of triggers to create these plant tokens, and also creating food tokens to feed for the Camellia, the Seed Miser. And the last effect, which is the level 3, you can pay 3 to put this into level 3. After level 2, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice 3 other non-land permanents you control. If you do, you will return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter of it. So this is more of a win-con effect, wherein you would be able to target a best creature from the cards or the creature cards among your graveyard. But in any case, the purpose here would just really get you to sacrifice effects, these non-null permanents. That means that food tokens would also considered as non-null permanent, so they would be able also to have this one sacrificed and also do the chain of triggers of creating these squirrel tokens. So that is a good variance of enchantments in this deck. You're focusing on self-mill and also having forage effects trigger also by creating these 0/1 green plant creature tokens whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard. And last but not the least are your instants. Before we check out the lands, are these copies of Cash Grab. So this Cash Grab would be having to mill 4 cards. So milling yourself also, this is the purpose of this effect. And then you may put a permanent card among them milled into your hand, and then if you control a squirrel or return a squirrel card, this way you would also create a food token. So this really goes with the ability of the Camellia to also returning it or another squirrel card you had milled to your hand would also get you a food token, which can and then later on be used to sacrifice to have these triggers, or just have also a shenanigans with the Scavenger's Talent, or can be used to sacrifice whenever your Beelzebub farmer attacks. So in that way, they have a very good variance of synergy in this deck, which can chain you towards a good board advantage and card advantage against your opponent, in making sure that your graveyard effects would really benefit your side. And last but not the least are again your lands. We have 24 lands, most probably going with the standard legal fix with Blooming Mars, the black-green check lands from reprint from Kaladesh, and the Lenore Waste is of course a reprint from Apocalypse, which can also get you to produce black and green at a cost of 1 damage. And of course the inclusion of MKM card Rare Swamp Forest Underground Mortuary, which also benefit you with the same self-mill effect with the Surveil one to get you to fix your hand. And a new addition, of course, aside from the basics, are the reprinted Fabled Passage, which is again 4 copies was added in this list to, of course, get you to filter out your basics and at the same time get you some graveyard effects that can be used later on for forage by that ability of Thornbolt Forager. And we can check on the mana value of the deck. It's surprisingly low with 2.1. That's 2.11. We have Seer, which can basically function by only 3 mana and 2 mana, and then your deck stats would have more of the green color and that of the black, and the mana fix would pretty much even. You can see here that you don't really need to have a double black for any mana produce, and only the bristlebud farmer will be your issue for producing the green, which is of course covered by the setup of having more green producers in this deck. And last but not least are your tokens. We have here the food token, which is of course the essential for creating the squirrel tokens by Camellia, and of course the plant tokens as being growth by the insidious roots, which can later on become an army of plants that can kill off your opponent in just very huge attack or chunk of damage attack. And that's pretty much it for this deck. I think we can expect this deck to be seen again in the standard meta game in MTG Online or MTG Arena. So if you really plan to play out this deck, just let me know in the comments below what would be your build, if you're agreeing with this list by alfchaval or you have your own deck strategy to share. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching on this one. We have again Camellia roots, black, green, or Golgari roots per se by alfchaval for the standard with BloomBurrow set. And if you like this video, just click on subscribe, of course notifications bell, so you can be the first to be notified once new deck texts will be posted on this channel. Again guys, thank you for watching and see you guys on the next upload.